Welcome back to the League of Legends World Championship live from London, where Origen has brought this quarterfinal to match point versus the Flash Wolves. It was messy. Let's start by picks and bans. We talked a lot about what Origen would end up picking if they ended up on the blue side. How do you think they handled picks and bans?
I mean, we talked about how they could now take away some of the comfort picks. LeBlanc is the main one when you face Flash Wolves because Maple is so good at roaming around the map. He couldn't do that on Victor. He doesn't run teleport. Still, I feel like Flash Wolves got some good picks coming in, but the last rotation with the Tom Kench really sealed the deal for Origen. It was so key in this match.
Yeah, the Malphite pick was just completely shut down, and they also let Kalista through the ban and pick phase, which Niels was incredible on. They kept on pulling back the support. They could throw him back out. There's no way to kill him.
Well, there was no way to kill him. We saw especially in the later stages of the game, but the Flash Wolves built up a considerable advantage in the early game due to OG getting caught a couple of times in there. So what went wrong from there? Because they did have some tools to engage and to play those fights with the Malphite.
The thing about Origen as a team, and this doesn't really imply for any other team in the world, they have these very crazy calls they can make and these very crazy fights they can play that a lot of teams don't really follow. Like if you look at Source when he plays Lulu, you normally look at a guy sitting next to his AD carry just protecting him. No, he's all over the place. He's running around, he's trying to whimsy the AD carry, he's trying to kill people. And these fights, I think maybe Stake got a little bit confused on the Malphite. He didn't always know when to pull the trigger. We saw one great ulti on like 3-4 guys.
Yeah, well, OG also completely grouped up.
They decided to group as well. But it was very difficult for Stake then to be that frontline engage, and therefore they couldn't find the right targets to take down. And Origen could kind of run them around, and this Nivea pick as well is buying so much time. Because whenever someone gets caught out, wall comes in, a stun lands from Xpeke, and he's just so good at sitting so far back and always buy more time for his team in fights.
Yeah, and especially protecting Niels on the AD carry, who really came to shine in the later phases of the game on that Kalista. Clement, you know the Flash Wolves very well. What is this, what are they showing right now to you? Is this unable to adapt in the game when they have to fight versus that Niels or versus that pick that they've been caught out by?
Well, I've heard the Flash Wolves say that TF is a pick that they're very afraid of from Origen. Like, Xpeke played it exceptionally well in their games against KT. But I have to say right now that I think Flash Wolves is in familiar territory. If you think back at when this Flash Wolves teams became a real threat, it was at IEM in Taipei, where they beat the TPA from 2 down, and then they went on to win 3 straight back. So this is the experience they know. They know how this story goes. And I just hope that they keep the faith in themselves and pull it out.
Well, keeping the faith in themselves and putting more resources in Maple. Actually, no, Maple takes the resources because even through all of this, Maple has been fantastic in the series. How much more can they build on that?
I think if you look at the Flash Wolves team, Maple is the staple, as people would say here. I just wish that they could maybe play more of a pushing bot lane so they could roam their support like Sword Art to the mid. They haven't been able to get kills with just Karsa and Maple, but if they throw Sword Art in there, maybe they could do something like Peekaboo did and they could collapse OG from the mid lane and win from there.
Or if they want to keep playing control mages, because we expect LeBlanc to be banned again, I think at least leave Lulu open if you're Origen on red side. Ban away the LeBlanc. You can give Lulu over to Stake if it is. But if you want to play the control mage in mid from Maple's side, you got to run teleport. Because even if you get that advantage, he did well against Pekka in the lane. He could never transition it to the other lanes. That's what teleport brings. You get ahead in your lane, you go down to the bottom lane, you go to the top lane, and you snowball the rest of the map. He's not able to do it. Or we just need to see him play some assassins, because he had the last pick in the last game here, and he still went for Victor into the Anivia, and while he was fantastic in team fights, he's not able to carry Flash Wolves through that early to mid game where they really need him.
Yeah, the map rotations, go ahead.
Yeah, we really want to see Maple on more of his assassins. He was the first original Fizz player, the original Zed player from the LMS region, and we just want to see more exciting plays from him.
Well, and very central, those teleports, as you mentioned it. You mentioned Peekaboo KT, the way they beat OG so impressively was by the map movements with the global ultimates and the teleports. Is that something that the Flash Wolves could adapt to and say, okay, all right, we're just going to try and play like this and get those global champions in there?
Well, I think Flash Wolves play in a very specific way. They're mainly more of a 2-lane team because they don't have a lot of pushing pressure from their top lane Stake. And I think that was a big thing from Soaz coming into this matchup. On paper, it didn't look that good for Flash Wolves, from my perspective. But watching the Week 2 games fold out, I still feel like the core thing of Flash Wolves is just to penetrate mid and let Maple do his thing.
Well, yeah, I think that sums it up. We'll see if the Flash Wolves are able to pull it back. We're going to head over to our casters and find out.
Thank you very much, Shox. Now, guys, we're getting ready for this 3rd game, and Origen hopes the final game here of this series, up 2-0 already. One more win, and Origen go from forming as a new team at the beginning of the year to top 4 at Worlds.
Yeah, and the last European team to make it to top 4 at Worlds was Fnatic with Peke and Soaz back in 2013. So it would be a nice way for them to return to that stage.
We'll see if they can do that here. Of course, we get ourselves ready to go into the game. Let's see what happens in Champion Select. We expect Origen to have to ban the Mordekaiser and the Gangplank, so the third one to come through is going to be a question. Is it the LeBlanc, as Deficio said? Will it be the Lulu, as they had banned away in Game 1 and first picked in Game 2?
Could even be the Elise, now that Flash have revealed that they actually played a champion. Although Karsa, he found one opening, but then really returned. Didn't really look impressive on that champion at all.
Yeah,
Flash was actually saying, nope, we're done. At least experiment.
Yeah, I literally think that was it. I think they were scared of Amaze's Elise, and that was the main contributing factor to them trying to pick it away. And they kind of proved to themselves that Karsa is not as good on that champion as he is on something like Rek'Sai.
Yeah. So, Gragas, the hover, though, it's weird that they are going to first pick this Rek'Sai since Amazing is happy to play that champion, but this looks like the exact same champion select as Game 1. In fact, I think even the bans are the same. We'll see if Amazing is going to go for the Gragas to the Lee Sin or something else entirely.
Whether they go for the Lee Sin here or the Gragas, still they have to be worried about the amount of peel that Sword Art and Karsa can produce. Because again, Jinx is open, Black Shield on Morgana if Sword Art goes for it. Later in these fights, we have a lot of these what they call blockers. If Flash Wolves do snowball their lead a little bit better, they can actually come into a very compromised position on the side of Origen right here. Because let's not forget, Origen, they did get that pentakill on that Baron, but that could have played out a lot differently if Flash Wolves just played a little more respect to the speed with which Baron was taken by Origen.
Yeah, I do have to say, though, like, the burden of adapting should fall on Flash Wolves here. Game 1 was so close, though, and Flash Wolves may feel like they kind of threw it away. We could see exactly the same team compositions.
And it wouldn't be all that bad for Flash Wolves, because remember, they had a winning bot lane in which they misplayed twice. They had a winning top lane that they couldn't snowball the advantage of because everybody else on the map was going down. But they still kept the game even for a tremendous amount of time while being down 3,000 gold due to the nature of those matchups. So if they don't make that mistake where they get double teleported to the palm, they could actually lead in the early to mid game.
I think Flash Wolves may be setting up for their poke competition if they ran something similar against the Coup Tigers here. Normally they would have picked Jinx on this spot right there. They've shown the Morgana already.
Yeah.
NL's favorite champion, Varus, is available here. There's a chance they go for this different style. Down 0-2, maybe you change things up.
Yeah, especially with the pick order changing, it would signal that that would be the case for Flash Wolves.
Well, they're at least considering based on the rest of the picks coming through.
And honestly, Neil's picking Jinx here is very much like Karsa picking Elise in the last game. It's more of a denial pick than picking towards their strengths. However, Jinx is very good with Darius as far as chaining resets together and getting snowballed fights.
And in terms of how they can round out the composition, Jinx, Tahm Kench is a fantastic synergetic lane overall. You have double front line here with Darius and Gragas that can peel. If they get through Tahm Kench, Darius, and Gragas, then Tahm Kench can simply just eat the Jinx anyways. And if you look at the combos they can do, you know, these stacks into stun, into traps, with Zap, there's so much outplay potential right here. And we've seen Mythia and Niels outperform Sword Art and NL, at least in the laning phase.
But is this enough engage if Flash Wolves does go for a poke team?
Nope, probably not. Unless we see the Abyssal Voyage flank, putting Darius in the background, say, hey,
yeah,
I'm here.
What up? But really, it's the Gragas as the sole initiator against a Black Shield team.
Yeah.
As far as immediate initiation goes, so that's not the most.
Here's the Victor. Works both ways, and
Caitlyn.
out goes Caitlyn.
That's 70 unique champions here at Worlds. We were talking about Caitlyn before this match, but that was actually
very fond of this champion
for a different team matchup. But Freak, what are you fond about for Caitlyn here?
Caitlyn is a great AD carry, honestly. I think she just like fell under the radar for far too long, and just the fact that she is super consistent in lane. Honestly, her DPS is quite good in team fights because her farm is so damn good. High range means high auto attack uptime. She will be a damage source.
And this bot lane actually drastically outranges Tahm Kench and Jinx altogether, so they never even get into the position where this chain combo of, you know, eating somebody, putting him in the traps can even happen, because even if you close the gap on the Caitlyn, she's just 90 calibers nets out. They whittle away at you, and more importantly, like Clement pointed out on the Shock's interview station, desk, whatever we're gonna call it, they actually have a pushing bot lane right now if they so choose to, so they can finally channel that pressure from the bot lane into the mid lane and perhaps collapse on XPK.
I also feel like if he locks in this Orianna pick, Last picking in Orianna, I think, gives very low amounts of value. It's typically a mid laner you can pick early in the draft and get your counter pick elsewhere, but because Origen power picked Darius early and then saw the Victor, like, there's not many surprises Origen pulled in this draft phase.
I mean, Origen, their composition, it's so clear what they want to do. They just want a long fight in which they just have so much zone from their front line, and an Orianna ball in which Niels is the primary carry. He is just going to go untouched in this fight, and Flash Wolves need, while we talk about Origen's engage being low, Flash Wolves don't have any hard engage either. Gnar is generally a secondary engage where he collapses on an already rooted target, so we need to see binding land, knock up from Karsa, then stay going in, but Niels can definitely kite his way out of that. Worst case, devour.
Yeah, and something we saw last game was Origen winning the lanes very substantially with beneficial matchups. This time, Flash Wolves has picked much better towards lanes.
Yeah, all
Caitlyn,
good.
Great laner. Gnar, counter matchup to the Darius, and Victor versus Orianna is a wave clear matchup, but Victor clears it faster. So every single situation for Flash Wolves is an advantage lane.
So we should see a lane swap. That's what
you'd expect.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if the lane swap does come through. You can see Stake on your screen there. His second Gnar game of this best of. In fact, his exact matchup was the best laning phase he's ever had at the World Championship so far, going equal to Soaz. We'll see if that trend continues. You guys know what time it is. Vote for who you think's gonna win this one. Hashtag OG win for the red side. Hashtag FW win for the Flash Wolves here. These guys are down 0-2 after making the top 8 here at the World Championship. The Flash Wolves, to stay alive, they must win this game.
The one risk you run with pushing lanes is that you're very prone to getting teleported from behind. And again, Origen right here running double teleport, whereas Maple, again, with that Ghost Victor, had a lot of people tweet at me, he's like, you're wrong, the Abyssal build is very common. So apparently, has we played more?
Abyssal's just common for mid laners who don't want to die in a heads-up matchup. I think pretty much every champion can buy that one as like a first major purchase.
I mean, yeah, the Abyssal build is very common in the sense of, like, Victors do it sometimes. There are so many variations to the Victor build, whether you're Sorcerer Shoes, cooldown boots, Morellonomicon early, rush to Death Cap, rush your upgrade on the Hex Core. Just many, many options. So I got your back, Crep.
Something we, thank you, Jen. Something we really need to track, is the icon synergy. We haven't really seen the Penta icon come out either of these teams.
True. That's just bad discipline.
Yeah. I mean, you need a BM at the end. That's how you break their mental.
Beating them twice in the best of 5 in close games is enough to break their mental.
The icons that are over the edge.
Would have been over.
Then they actually just leave the venue and they, you know what, 2 games is enough.
Walk away.
We don't need the third one anymore.
Well, if we're talking about quarterfinals of 2013, Flash Wolves was down 2-0 and then they had to leave the venue because it was just a best of 3 back then against SK Telecom. Now they get a chance to turn it around.
Alrighty. Well, you heard Clement say they did that recently against Taipei Assassins and IEM not too long ago. Maybe the reverse sweep does happen here for Flash Wolves.
All right, we have the makings of a lane swap right here. Mitty and Niels, they went to the top side. They're going to do their Krugs. Karsa stake double jungling right here. Complete mirror lane swap. Initially, Caitlyn and Morgana are just very good at taking towers, but they're actually not that great at taking towers in the lane swap because Jinx actually does it better. Yeah. Just in a normal laning sieging situation, Flash Wolves would have gotten a lot more out of those picks. So a lot of their advantages have been nullified by this lane swap.
I think it is one of the many reasons that Caitlyn has fallen off. While Caitlyn can still be great in pretty much every matchup, teams are so apt at just dodging the matchups now, and there are multiple AD carries who, like Tristana or Jinx, are better turret killers than Caitlyn.
And she has a bit of a lull in the mid game. Granted, these teams play past that lull anyways. Caitlyn is incredibly good, I mean, level the first item, and then after 3 or 4 items, she starts racking up the damage. But in the mid game, she actually struggles in a lot of the fights, mostly because she brings almost no utility. Whereas if you look at Nielsen at Jinx, he can zap, trap, and have an AoE rocket.
Oh, early roam though. Sword Art doesn't stay in the laning phase thanks to the lane swap. Gets to go in and force the flash away from Xpeke.
Yeah, I like that roam in this lane swap because no one's really threatening a dive. A lot of the times, you're trading that mid lane pressure for a better or worse prep dive or protection, but both these teams are very clearly on the same page of double jungle, and it's a very low investment actually to get that flash out of Peke. The question will be this time whether or not they can actually punish it, because they got the flash out very early for Peke last game, and he was fine.
Amazing right now, setting up the Scuttle Crab. Stake gonna make sure that nothing is incorrect there, and Sword Art gets 15 gold for attacking the turret, and Flash Wolves are gonna be knocking this one down as fast as they can. Of course, the exact same thing is happening on the other side of the map with the Origen champions, so Looks like the standard turret trade of the lane swap game.
A pretty standard trade here. Wave will eventually get bounced to the top laner. So is it's a little low though. So sometimes you've seen top laner just soak up his lane immediately. It looks like he'll bounce it and then base anyways. If he gets matched in the lane, he'll just get zoned off the wave.
Yeah. Now the real choice will be who they leave for the turret gold.
Probably shared on Niels, because if you do it this quickly, he needs the share for the pickaxe. But he's actually...
Yeah, he'll have enough. He'll have enough.
Yep.
Stake. This will be tenuous. I believe it will freeze because that 1 minion standing is actually the right way to do it. It builds the wave up so that reinforcements come from that side of the wave. So both these teams doing that play. Amazing comes into the mid lane to help Peke push the wave as Peke was He needs the help to make sure his first recall goes down all right. He's like right on Chalice money right now.
Yeah, and NL didn't get that privilege from getting either enough CS or sharing the turret gold. He's down gold there, so he couldn't get his pickaxe early. Picked up an early Avarice right here.
Interestingly enough, it's something NL did in game 1 as well. We picked up a very early Avarice. That was a game where Niels was BF sword up until he obviously picked it up because he died in game 1.
We see this a lot from the Korean players too. They just really like that early Avarice and they feel they can play in a pickaxe disadvantage, at least to wrap up more gold and get a more beneficial build. It also speeds up your third item. Jinxes generally don't want to go Static Shift if you can afford to go Phantom Dancer because it just brings you so much damage in teamfights. Whereas Caitlyn with the Siege Wave Clear type of style actually likes to shift because it speeds up your third item, makes you more relevant once you get the Lost Whisper.
And thinking from a gold perspective, Avarice Blade giving you 2 CS every 10, or 2 gold every time you get an extra CS. Every 10 CS is like 11 CS from a total gold perspective.
And
he's pushed up real far.
The mid lane. Can Maple outplay? Pops Ghost early. Peke doesn't have mana. He actually didn't go for the TP play to get items and mana in, so chunked out low. Now he probably will leave the lane. Maple trades Ghost for not much.
Maple's been playing really well. That was just another example of having a lot of experience with Flash and Ghost. That's why he's not bringing Teleport. Victor with the Ghost gains a lot of advantages right there, the least of which being able to completely outrun a gank if it comes from that type of play.
Look at the kind of plays made here, though. Flash Wolves dedicate all the members of the top lane to knock a turret down, whereas Origen had went for the mid lane gank, and now Soaz not in a good spot. He's only level 3. The knockups come through. He has Flash. He'll use it if he needs to. Gets the heal enough and pulls into the turret. The Flash Auto gets him first blood. And now Sword Art flashes to the brush to trade one back. Bottom turret did go down, so that will be a trade of structures.
That was a really big outplay by Soaz right there. You're thinking, why would he not just burn the Flash? It's a typical Soaz greed play. So many times, but this time it worked. So many times we'll see him in a lane swap with poor vision because Origen actually doesn't place that many wards in the first 15 minutes, and he'll just kind of like walk up farther than he should because he really wants the CS, and then he'll die. But this time, he's doing exactly the same play, and Flash was like, yeah, we got him. But because he's greedy with his Flash,
because he gets caught so often, he's actually gotten really proficient at turning it around, you know, using it in his favor. Because good play there by Sword Art, exhausting, just enough to potentially force Soaz's Flash, but Soaz doesn't want to use it, and then he baits them in. They just forgot about the heal, and then he pulls in Karsa there, so fantastic outplay by Soaz.
Looks like they forgot about a lot of things. Forgot about the heal, forgot about the apprehend, forgot about the turret.
See if Flash Wolves forgot about Drake.
No one forgets about Dre. Eminem has made sure that's never going to be the case. Stake, though, forgot about Mythy, and this couldn't be any worse for the Flash Wolves. Origen get the second kill.
Already down 2-0 in the series, and when the top laners do their trade back and Stake is trying to pick up experience, he falls. Luckily, he still does have his teleport, so when the wave does hit his turret, he'll be able to catch up, and now Soaz without Flash has to be able to defend himself as well. That's a 4-man dive, teleport as well.
Oh my gosh, here comes the team. Soaz, easy knock-up, Sword Art pulls aggro.
Where's Tom, though?
He's gonna keep it up, and now there's the pullback. Mythy saves it for now, Stake on the backside. Soaz pushed pretty far, apprehends in, and here comes Gragas. Soaz still losing health, does not get the heal, and Karsa gets the kill. Now Mythy has to pop the shield, but exactly how far away can he really get? Couple more autos to do it, the Flash keeps him alive. NL has ulti, but not the mana to cast it, actually.
And again, this is the degree we're talking about. You were safe. Just walk away, Soaz. Enter the base. Just walk away.
Yeah, he was trying to turn that around for more kills. Mythy did save him from that turret, but one thing that happens here is the big minion wave that Stake was going to absorb on his second-tier turret. He then goes for a play, doesn't pick up much for himself. Still 0-1-1, and it's going to be a second turret trade, but importantly for Niels, huge gold income.
And remember what we talked about in Champs, like this entire composition is centered around Niels being prime carry. Not only is he getting solo XP, he's getting solo gold in his turrets, he's getting comfortable position. Origen will now have to back out because they keep overextending on the weak side of the map. They want too much.
Origen getting punished for the greed here. Blue buff goes over to NL, and now Amazing has to be a bit careful. His flash is already down, but Body Slam is back up. Nice dodge by Mithy. We sit at a basically...
Niels is playing PvE this game. Yeah, I don't think he's seen a single champion in the last like 5 minutes of this game.
I mean, sometimes you, as an AD carry, you look at your teammates and you hover around. You don't just lock camera killing CS.
Now he's pulling blue buff for Peke. Good guy Niels.
Should have taken that. He deserved it. Did all the work. Screw you, mid laners. The only last hit, it's like they feel so good about themselves.
AD carries do more than just last hit?
Will we see some Abyssal Dunkage though, once SOAS hits level 6? Once the Tam Kench ultimate is available from Mithy, drop the Darius in the backline, dunk some people, get some resets. Double resets as well in these fights, so if one kill goes down, things can get bloody here.
I feel like that's going to be super dangerous to do against Maple, who's going with a different Victor build this time. Looks like he's going the Morellonomicon route.
Yeah. Well, here we go. 300 gold difference. Mithy and Amazing trying to set up for the Dragon. Stake is top lane without teleport. He cannot join this battle. There's going to be no one defending this.
Yeah, you just see the difference in this Darius Star matchup too. Stake stuck on a welfare build here. Gathering his mineral correction, 2 rubies, couple Dorans, but it's not that Frozen Mallet that we're used to seeing coming early in this game to really swing this 6-11 part of the matchup here.
And it's really important to note that even though Origen is up 2-0 in this series, both of those games were incredibly competitive, with Flash Wolves holding a gold advantage at some point very, very late into the game, and it just turned around on Origen having better late game shot calling and a few really big swingy moments in those games. So Flash Wolves very capable of still winning these games in this matchup, and this early game is, despite a couple 2 kills on each side, still a pretty low bloodiness game, as we are expecting from these teams.
Well, yeah, you can't get blood from a stone, so these turret kills not counting for that score.
Yes.
Very
Nice pun.
factual statement.
Yeah.
No, factual. But you see the difference here in approach too. SOAS pulling in Stake here, hang on.
Ooh, good flash to follow. This is a bit greedy. I guess it trades flashes, though.
Stake brings a ward. Maple brings a ward to the mid lane, but this is, we see very few side wards placed here by Origen. Very often it's just the trinkets at this point in the game. That's when they, even when they play a very stretched style, 1-3-1 split push all the time, they do have a tendency to get caught. Flash Wolves farm a little safer, so they get less CS, but they're less prone to getting caught out, so this could repeat itself, and the gold right now is even.
At the 15-minute mark, Origen has the fewest site wards placed of teams at Worlds at only 14, but the most yellow trinkets placed. So they're kind of trying to make up for it. You can see very late sweeper changes, especially from Amazing. And Amazing is also, as you mentioned in a previous game, the second slowest user to Sightstone. So it is a bit of a perpetuating problem, since Origen wants to put so much pressure on these side lanes early on in the game, but really just don't have the ward coverage to do so, which makes them vulnerable to counterattacks. The question is whether or not Flash Wolves can actually counterattack them without vision.
And whether they have done their research preparing this, because very often when you see teams split push, you assume at least a basis of wards. You think there's no way these guys are split pushing blind.
They do have 2 wards, at least in this split push. The question is how long will they be able to stay up, and how adequately can they apply pressure?
It's interesting watching this bottom lane matchup because NL spent 1,000 gold on Berserker's Greaves, whereas Niels was a bit up in gold. You mentioned the solo farm, got the full BF sword here. So the movement speed disparity actually allows NL to pick fights a lot better, and you actually saw Niels getting chunked out by a couple of headshots.
Helps with the passive too overall.
Yeah. So watching how those fights can go, Niels has to be pretty afraid. Sword Art does have Moby Boots looking for the play.
Especially Niels is in trouble. Whenever Mithy leaves the lane, NL can just use his ultimate to poke. Because of the low amount of lifesteal that Niels has right now, only Doran's, probably not running any runes, he's just not going to be able to regen up overall. So just getting that poke out from NL just kind of nullifies one side of the split push. Then you have, again, that winning matchup, Nari to Darius, kind of delayed right now due to the lane swap on both sides, but it's still winning in terms of poke. That's nullified. So then you go to the mid lane, Wave Clear versus Wave Clear. Suddenly we have a slow game where not much is happening.
Definitely not a lot happening. 200 gold difference. Flash Wolves are actually the team with more gold. We talked about the solo farm that Jinx is getting. It's matched up now, of course, by NL.
I mean, both these teams generally behind, but can't both be behind in 20 minutes.
It's a paradox. They're both averaging in gold deficit. That will change.
Like ships passing in the night, a pair of docks.
Nice one.
Thanks. Now you too can enjoy my puns, Britain. Enjoy. Did you really want it after all? Mithy trades wards with Maple. All is well here. Just simply not a lot going on between these two teams. A lot of turrets went down, which of course really affects how the map is played out. You've got a lot of long, wide open lanes. There's nowhere to run to if you get caught out. So as if he was somehow flanked, just wouldn't have anywhere to go. But of course, amazing. We'll have to bring in a stake. Oh, misses the flash, but will still land the explosive cask into a perfect Desme into the dunk, into amazing getting the kill.
Why is stake right? Because you just got dunked on. Probably don't know that reference. Nope.
No.
No.
Let's carry on.
Sorry.
Nice reference.
Someone will understand the reference, so congratulations. But as far as that gank goes, that was just Stake being up in a lane where his second turret was already dead, and it was that was kind of what Origen has been making mistakes doing for most of this world.
Yeah. Lands the damage. Neil's got to be careful. The flash ulti and Mithy's consume is down right now. Sword Art will land the stun into Mithy. The binding hits Neil's. There's the Q. There's the kill. Mithy tried to flash consume, couldn't get it in time, and now Mithy has got nowhere to go. Eats some Morgana, but they kill him in time before he digests.
And it's exactly what you were talking about, Chad. This is something Origen sometimes do. Especially once they have a kill mate at one side of the map, they assume they're safe on the other side. They don't respect cross-mapping very often.
Yep. And Karsa comes in at the very end of that one, but mainly it was just a good play by Sword Art and NL. They landed a couple nice headshots and ended up getting the edge. The binding into the finisher there as Mithy tried to flash for the eat. Really minute outplay, but it ends up costing basically 2 kills.
And more so, just the confidence. NL and Sword Art still have the synergy. If you make the play only when you really trust your support to land that skill shot, else you have both glowing flash there and you will just lose the all-in. So a lot of faith there from NL. He still had heal available just in case.
I guess we can see who all the CLG fans are rooting for now. A lot of faith. Come on, nice pun.
You get a nice chuckle there.
Mithy with a ward over the wall. Dragon comes up in only 20 seconds now. Origen did get the first. Game 1 was won largely, I think, off the back of the fact that they had so much Dragon control it forced Flash Wolves into some awkward moves.
Turns out that Flash Wolves did in fact forget about Drake.
No, I got it the first time. Repeating jokes is the son of a bad caster.
The Dragon's alive.
Let's talk about this Dragon.
Yeah, honestly, it's because Origen's in position for this Dragon right now, and Stake just lost. Is he going to flash for the dunk attempt? It would have definitely pushed him back. Either way, Flash was very much on the defensive here, going down at least 2 Dragons. This is eerily similar to Game 1, where even though Flash Wolves could come back with a few nice plays later, the Dragon counter really was something that Origen could play around extremely well in Game 1.
They get the bonus stats from Dragon 1. They kill turrets faster from Dragon 2. Otherwise, the gold is the same between these two teams.
Origen just setting up for a fantastic late game here. Not only do they scale incredibly well on their mid laner, 6 items, fantastic Orianna. Jinx, probably one of the better 6-item carries with a Darius. Even if they get slightly behind in the late game, they have a 5-dragon win condition that they can always go to. They've shown the mastery of doing incredibly quick Barons under pressure. So Origen, they like these kind of close games where they can just outmaneuver you and out-chuckle you in the late game.
Yeah, as long as they don't make those big disastrous errors. But it's what we saw in the LGD versus KT matchup. Sometimes when one thing goes wrong for Origen, they're so quick to make a very aggressive play on the other side of the map that it can actually snowball against them because they miss both the plays, and before you know it, they're down 5,000 gold. But as of now, they're still up 2-0 with the very well-scaling team composition.
Yeah, patience is important. If you get picked off somewhere on the map, you got to go in recovery mode. And a lot of teams actually try to chase the loss, and then you very often end up getting teleported upon and getting outnumbered anyways. That's something we saw from Origen in some of their games. This time, though, a little more patience here. Makes for a bit of a slower game. Leaves us with more time to talk about puns and the like.
Well, speaking of,
both these teams time talking about puns thus far.
Both these teams are cosplaying cosmetic surgeons in Los Angeles. A lot of patience.
Nice man.
Stay
going in. Talk about something else.
What? Ooh, apprehend misses.
Yeah, I mean, Stake's Frozen Mallet is so delayed this game that Soaz still has a lot of presence on him on the side lane. When the Frozen Mallet completes, he should start losing some of that advantage. but because of how far he was put behind early, he's sitting on 1,400 gold as well as the Giant Spelt and Health Crystal, so it should be pretty soon that he gets Frozen Mallet completed.
But it just puts him behind in relative power to the other roles in the game too, right? Stake usually, once he gets ahead on that Gnar, he has a buffer. He has an amount of time that he can use to get in position for a Mega Gnar ulti. But right now, if he's this far behind in terms of build, he will just get blown up before he even gets there. That is the problem with playing in Gnar into the lane. So compared to Soaz, he can't soak as much damage, but he's still a threat in terms of finishing people off, getting a double Q off, and then just resetting the axe swing there. So something you do have to be careful about.
A couple of plays happening at once here for Origen. They're pushing mid. It's mainly because NL is bottom, so the top lane and mid lane pressure happen at the same time.
Wow, Stake really getting pushed around here. Black Cleaver done on Soaz means the movement speed buff and the armor shred's going to be pretty important. Nice mechanical play, the Black Shield in time off the Shockwave. A couple of dodges on Dark Bindings, but Origen is getting very few attacks done on that turret, trying to break it down. Amazing will maybe get through this ward. Karsa's coming.
Gotta play a little safe.
The one difference between the first matchup and probably the reason why this gold is so even is that we haven't seen any proactive teleport plays come out of Origen at all. They haven't really used it at all. Flash Wolves not leaving any opening. Very reactive team. They don't really make the move first, and then Origen can't find an opening anywhere. Thinking gets bound here, but third shot denied.
Can siege. This is actually really great for Mithy to be in the mid lane soaking up this experience right now, because you get a large bonus in experience when you're heavily behind the average level of the game. So Mithy being here as this extended push, even though he's been roaming a whole bunch, he was level 7, he was 2 levels behind Sword Art. The longer he stays in mid lane, picking up shares of these waves, the faster he's actually going to equalize the experience with really no full cost to it.
NL has been freezing it though, because every time we pan to the bot lane, the wave has been in the exact same location here. So Flash Wolves taking a different approach. They don't want any kills, but they're not really dying anywhere. So they're saying, well, we can just deny one wave of farm or one lane of farm to Origen and actually out-CS them in this period.
Yeah, that's actually a really long freeze for NL. It's
been there a while.
A couple of minutes right here. And just now he's getting the CS back over Niels, but that's huge because we know Caitlyn needs to hit about 4 items before the full relevance kicks in.
And more importantly, it works because on the top lane, Stake isn't threatened at all because his towers are down anyway. There's nothing for him to lose there. Just lane control, and then Victor has been wave clearing significantly well with the backup from the Black Shield. Origen's only way to really break that open is a double prong dive in the mid lane, where they go one left side, one right side, dive Maple, get him out of the equation, and then finish him off. They don't have the vision to really support that. Good pink wards on the sides here from Flash Wolves.
I also don't even know if they have the tankiness to do that yet. They don't actually have any armor itemization built up yet, so diving in between those 2 mid lane turrets would have been really dangerous. I have to commend Flash Wolves for that extended freeze in the bottom lane. They also ended the freeze right as the Dragon's about to respawn.
Well, that's going to be the play then for Origen. They are trying to push the mid wave down, but it doesn't really seem to be happening. So if you can't kill off the base, bring the fight to you. The Dragon doesn't really go anywhere. Doesn't really want to fly free, so they can just simply kill him where he lives.
They have to face check right now. The sacrifice you make of that play is that you obviously don't have any vision preemptively set up in the area that you want to contest, so you go for a bit of a crude face check, and that's exactly where Origen need to capitalize on the investment that Flash Wolves just made. You punish them right there. If you don't, then you just gave him single lane farm for free.
Well, all the single lanes. Origen farming as much as they can, putting a ring on their farm.
That was better.
Thanks.
How do you put a ring on a farm?
Slight improvement.
It's called a fence, so the cows can't leave.
Okay. Yeah. Jeez, Crepo.
Ever been to a farm? Come on.
I live on a farm. Horses, though. No cows.
They don't need fences?
They do, actually. A lot of fences.
How do you not know this? Meanwhile, the Dragon is alive, and maybe not for too much longer, though. Origen, though, losing a bit of control, and actually they're now down over 1,000 gold. Just 1,000 gold appeared out of nowhere from Flash, just slowly and surely gaining farm.
The minion power play.
Minions are worth a lot of gold. And if you're not taking any objectives while the other team is literally starving you of a full wave of minions, that's 1/3 of Origen's gold income as long as that was frozen. And Origen actually specializes in farming all 3 waves towards the mid game, so it's actually a great move by Flash Wolves.
Look at Snake.
Not to mention the frozen mallet. He has it right now.
2 Qs so far.
So as he's gonna have to flash to get away.
That one lands. Hyper's on again. Has the movement speed. There's the pull in. So as Will in rage. Doesn't land the Q though. Flash. Wolves. Stake nearly gets him.
Great play there by Steak.
It was actually, the moment he realized he wasn't getting ganked, but Soas was there alone, he guided him into the minion waves, let the minions help him, and just really good spacing. You want to stay out of apprehend, but in all attack range consistently. The one hop was slightly too far from Steak, but other than that, almost immaculate Gnar play here.
Yeah, the only improvement I feel like from Flash Wolves is they should have been doing the Dragon while that Gnar play was happening. Snake was only going to draw pressure up towards that top lane, and it was a perfect window for Flash Wolves to actually secure the Dragon, even if Origen decided to counter.
NL.
Oh,
Goodbye.
he's got him.
He's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. There we go. NL gets the headshots, gets the kill.
And they can force Origen to rotate mid, then move into the Dragon area safely. NL going for the duel here.
Well, no ulti means Niels can feel a little bit more safe. The Q will not land, so it's gonna be okay. NL getting some turret shots in though. This wave is not cleared all that fast. Amazing force back, and Peke's still dead for 20 seconds.
Such a nice fog play there by NL, standing right around the corner, and the long range of Caitlyn means Peke would have basically had to flash right away if he's anticipating the crits from NL. Obviously, you get a little bit lucky rolling those crits at this stage in the game. Surprised that they actually haven't gone straight for the Dragon. They're trying to get even more power out of this play.
2 seconds left on Orianna. She does have teleport. Soaz gets pulled back, and actually a flash by Mithy. Very afraid of that fight in the first place. Maple still buying some time. Eats a chomper though. This could be a bit of a risk. Oh my god! Niels nearly goes down, and a Mega Gnar from Steak kills off Soaz.
There's no teleport from Expected to get behind the team, so that was just a bold defensive move by Origen and didn't work out there.
Yeah, and we know that Origen actually has pretty weak initiation. Flash Wolves keeping them basically at Caitlyn range the whole time, so they're not trading the damage, and it's allowing Flash Wolves to win these fights really substantially.
Yeah, look at that again, and this is what Flash Wolves do. They wait for a mistake.
Oh, just such a nice play. Q into a crit, static shiv, into an ult. Peke couldn't have even flashed away from that.
And we may need to see that combo actually come out where Mithy uses Abyssal Voice to deliver his Beyblade Soas to come into the back end of the fight, to then keep them busy long enough for Origen to close the gap.
The thing is, unless Amazing is also closing at the same time, I don't see that play working very well, because the Victor and Caitlyn could so effectively kite both of those guys when
Walk
they come
away.
in. This is surprising though, the third Dragon is going over so many
no! Oh, amazing!
It is surprising indeed that the third Dragon is going to Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
The Prophet Jet returns.
So surprising
The crystal ball.
that
The
happens.
original.
Not your typical contest from Flash Wolves, but that is massive for this game, because pretty much the only thing that Origen had going for them was the fact that they were going to be able to maneuver Flash Wolves around the map because of Dragon pressure. Now it's kind of gone.
The turret's already gone. Look at that.
And third Dragon means a lot, especially in these compositions where you want to close the gap. 6% move speed matters a lot. Dodging some of that Caitlyn damage, getting out of stakes, out of attack range, potentially, maybe even getting somewhere in the fight.
But here we are in London, where Flash Wolves are clearly minding the gap and keeping the range exactly as they need.
Yeah.
All right, I like that one.
And Niels trying to contest his own red buff here. Karsa does not have smite, but NL gets the kill anyway.
Once again, Maple's going to be going for the Lichbane build, which only makes it more punishing when Origen can't cleanly initiate. Watching this one more time, Amazing has smite.
I mean, why?
He
Uses
blows
it
up the barrel early and smites early.
Yeah.
Oh, meanwhile, Pekka looks for the play. Rocket lands. Has to get eaten up by Mithy to keep him alive. NL had to run away. Easy stop on this one.
I think that was a misclick from Karsa going into that portal.
Happens sometimes.
And Soas in the bot lane, though. No
I'm
punish.
not completely sure what happened at the very start of that play, but the NL's flash was burned during that. He's becoming a pretty big threat. He's hit 3 of his major items.
And somehow NL ended up in melee range of Expected, who was self-casting the ultimate.
Without
Weird.
using flash.
Without using flash. So something happened.
It wasn't a Gragas ultimate that sent him back in either. Truly outrageous.
Whoa. All right, he pops the shield. He should be okay with this one.
Soaz
Who finds Maple on the side. Decimate ring hits as well. This is not a great sign for anyone as the health bars are dropping quickly. Steak buys a lot of time with a couple of stuns, but Soaz walks away. Maple runs for his life with a pull back in. Steak, he might be for dinner. No, walks away.
Maple just walks right out of that one. He gets to the inner ring of the Decimate from Darius, gets the move speed from his Q, and then just wanders away. He was dead to rights with that face check on Soaz, but miraculously escaped.
Yeah, really solid gravity field. Just proc right before they had just the last bits of damage to take him down, and he walks out.
Yeah.
think here.
Abyssal Void.
Ah, here we go.
That's how you get into melee range of Peke.
Good
Nicely
flash.
done. That's the Abyssal Void we may end up seeing from Origen. It could have been a Darius, but the Peke honestly worked decently well in that situation.
Quick reaction though, you saw Karsa immediately teleport to one of those Rek'Sai tunnels on the mid lane. Everyone roamed down as fast as they could. Both these teams pretty quick on the draw.
Yeah, if there's any lane that you're going to try and attack Flash Wolves in, mid lane is probably the one least favorable to do it because they're just so mid lane centric in their approach.
True. Well, we'll see what happens as Flash Wolves are trying to branch out towards this Baron area. They've already got a pick ward inside the Baron pit. They're trying to control top jungle as well.
Look at the timing on this siege. Look at bot lane right now. Origen is pinging already. They know that's a massive bot wave. So Origen might actually do what they call like a bit of a panic engage here to force a fight and then be able to go back and clean it out. Because if Flash Wolves play patiently here, they can force a really big siege and just wait for that bot lane to hit. But very often teams make the mistake of overextending here. Origen going in.
That was the panic engage, but it didn't land. And now Soaz would almost have to recall right now and then threaten with the teleport.
If they tried to use Abyssal Voyage, but ended up canceling it right there. But that's exactly what they're looking for because they're under so much pressure. And look at NL, split pushing in the mid lane right now. They're not committing on the top lane siege until that wave is hitting in the bottom.
Peke's got nowhere to go. He does have flash, gets into the belly. Mithi's trying to run him out, but here comes Megador. Pulls three of them back in, and they've already killed off the catfish. There's a second one as well.
Yep, right as Soaz was sucked away to the bottom lane. So really smart knowledge of wave control by the Flash Wolves. Origen knew exactly what was up as well, but they just could not execute the defense. Now, they're going to desperately try and stop this Baron.
Here's the teleport in from Soaz. Peke.
Oh, Stake is super low.
He's dead.
And he's dead. Oh my god. And now Karsa's got to be careful. Baron naturally plenty of damage. Niels maybe won't take this for himself. He goes in with Soaz. They got to be careful what they go for. Oh my god. NL getting more headshots than Scream, killing everybody.
Oh my lord. And you could see the hesitation on Soaz. He walked away from the Baron, then tried to get back again, but
Niels and NL had one thing on their mind, and it was killing the Baron right now. Completely game-defining moment right there. Origen had a desperation Baron in game one. This wasn't a desperation Baron, it was just a smart Baron by Flash Wolves, but chaos ensued, and Flash Wolves get a little lucky at Baron. Now they push into the base.
And amidst a storm of chaos, the Victor pushing into the mid lane. They're going to knock an inhibitor down at the very least and walk away.
But they forced that play with some fantastic textbook split push. Set up a sixth-man way, like a sixth player worth of minions in the bot lane, slow pushing. Before you really commit to the top lane tower, get to that later. Let's watch that fight again. Look exactly how Soaz is kind of confused at what's going on after Stake drops.
Pretty big miscommunication once he drops because Flash Wolves gets so low, Karsa says, screw the Baron, I'm going out. But NL keeps hitting it, which makes the Baron a contested move. Niels tries to buffer the auto with the zap to make it a burst, but it sits at 60 health, which is easy pickings for NL. That's 2 times now Origen has tried to execute an objective and left it at sub 100 health, and then it's been taken by the Flash Wolves.
And we said this series was incredibly close. Either team could have won these first 2 games. Now we're seeing maybe the shoe on the other foot here. Flash Wolves with a sizable advantage. An inhibitor down, a Baron buff, and now Dragon number 2.
Base isn't open yet, and if Flash Wolves commit to a 5-man siege, we could still see Abyssal Voyage be used here offensively to just get somebody behind.
1 minute left on Baron.
But they can just storm the front right now.
Yeah, and
Caitlyn is approaching maximum velocity. 3 items done already, 4th one coming in.
Yeah, the damage out of NL right now, and honestly the damage out of Maple. With the Lich Bane, fully upgraded Hex Core, and a needlessly large Rod already completed. Not to mention the 40% CDR build that comes out of Maple, so it's very easy for him to kite, and it's very easy for him to consistently proc his Lich Bane on the backside.
And I really like what Flash is doing with Karsa right now. Going towards Titanic Hydra on Rek'Sai, being a split push threat. Again, it's a global champion, can jump to the tunnels. I really, really, really like this.
They're using what Origen is somewhat known for and using it against them. Origen had a heavy teamfight composition, actually weak at split pushing, and they're just split pushing against it. They're tearing them apart. Because that top lane tower, tier 2, it's gonna fall, and if Soaz commits, Maple can push in the mid lane, and they can threaten the flank on the tier 3 here in the bot lane, because it's really hard for Beckett to clear that.
And you can see top lane going down. Karsa tearing Origen apart like they're Tommy Wiseau. Turret number 7 goes down.
I think Flash Wolves, they're okay with this. They're just gathering gold, and they're just gonna keep up the pressure in the deep vision, and then default back to that dragon. Pick up their third one? Yeah, third one of the game.
Currently sitting on 2 because of the steal. So the Dragon Snowball is not a very good win condition for Flash Wolves right now because it stretches the game really, really late and then makes the variation if they get caught in an Orianna Shockwave like really high, considering they're at an 8,000 gold advantage right now. I think the main thing Flash Wolves are going to try and do is just prep the waves and play the split push really well. They have the team composition to do so, and they've already done it a few times properly this game.
Yeah, and generally the only 2 times you get punished when split pushing is in the initial setup. If you're not in position to cross map while you're still setting up some of these side waves, that's when an Origen can go aggressive. And at the very end, when you're actually sieging and you just overstep your bounds, you just gotta still play with respect. But if you can get that 1-3-1 done with all lanes pushing, it's so incredibly hard to fight against it because every counter move by Origen is incredibly telegraphed. If they randomly go show 5 people, well, they will engage on you or else they'll lose the half of their base.
NL also completed Bloodthirster, which is kind of the point of maximum power here for Caitlyn. One thing about Caitlyn as well is the 5th item can also be extremely offensive because she keeps so much range on the opponent. It's one of the big reasons late game Caitlyn can be that effective.
Exactly why I like her so much. You can also do the Last Whisper Forever, which is a bit greedy because it's risky, but it's much more damage than BT for the gold.
That's exactly what NL did this game.
If she's ahead of the curve in the game and she has a smile gold lead, she's good. The problem with her very often is if she falls behind and still has to go into that 3rd Last Whisper, then she starts struggling. But Flash Wolves did a fantastic job controlling that mid game, and yeah, that freeze, it paid off way back in around 20 minutes.
Being able to freeze the bottom lane for several minutes and not lose a single objective during, aside from all the other things that have happened, was kind of the defining strategic moment in this game.
Here we go.
Look at the damage.
Split from his team, chunking this turret down with the Dragon 2 buff,
care.
but he's got to be a bit careful. Black Shield gets broken. Amazing will not look for the explosive cast.
Look at how much faith he has in Sword Art. He just stands there. He knows he's going to get a Black Shield anyways. Worst case has Flash after it gets broken. And takes that tower down on one single push.
Amazing could have guaranteed the kill though by either flashing or explosive cast, like flashing far enough behind that you couldn't flash that barrel away. Doesn't go for the play though, and NL stays safe because Black Shield got broken.
Yeah.
Pulls him over the wall.
Now he throws him.
Whoa.
NL just keeping so much distance. Stake working on the other side as well. They're desperation.
Finds a bit of an engage. Amazing at a half HP. Pulled right back over the wall by Mithy.
And when you see, when you're Flash Wolves right now, you're loving this because they're playing exactly into your hand. They're panic engaging because they know their inevitable doom will be upon them once this 1-3-1 is in phase 3 of the execution, when you start whacking away at these inhibitors.
Look at this fight. Oh, whoa, 2 crits.
Oh, that's deep.
Gets a little bit over aggressive, but it should be fine as they teleport in with the Mega Gnar.
Not a chance at all. Inhibitor goes down. That's inhib number 2. Mithy forced to flash away the dark binding into the gravity well. They're going to retake the middle inhibitor. Flash Wolves are so incredibly far ahead.
I just really love watching this style. Somebody take the inhibitor, just systematic destruction with no counterplay possible if you execute it right. Unless you start face checking here like Stakes, you'll have to flash over.
You will.
What?
Rocket comes out. Whoop. Body blocked by Sword Art. Good play there by the Morgana. Binding hits Amazing. Will land a slowing barrel. His ulti is down anyway.
Abyssal Voyage.
Right onto a trap. Nice play by NL to set that one up.
Yeah, obviously aside from that misplay by Stake there where he's not punished, taking 2 inhibitors down, like, it's such a classic move. And both these teams are very experienced. Flash Wolves was in the quarterfinals, 4 out of 5 of their members as the Gamania Bears.
And I mean, so as Unexpected, they should know the strategy because this is what they used to get to the World Finals or the World Championship in Season 3. This is a style of play that emerged in reaction to the very team-fight heavy, long games that actually were common in Season 2. Split push and tearing people apart without actually forcing a fight and just systematically destroying the base, mostly with split push assassins back then, was their forte. Right now it's being used against them.
Well, honestly, as you were saying, one of the main ways you stop the split push is by hitting them during the setup. And that's why, it's kind of what Origen has tried to do. As they're pushing near the inhibitors, Origen's trying to engage on them before they make it to that point. They just haven't been executing, and it's a nice thing to see by Flash Wolves that they're playing so cleanly. Death cap completed as well on a Maple. This one may be over because now they're at the point of power that even a grouped up team fight, they can win handily.
Difficult situation then for Origen. They need some kind of miracle. 9,000 gold down. Down 7 kills, down 4 turrets, down 2 inhibitors. And here we'll see both Dragon and Baron up at the same time. We're going to have Maple soloing the Dragon down towards the bottom of the map. There's the kill credit right there. Easy pickings for him. There's just too much control for the blue team. And at the same time, they're now starting up on Baron Nash. A Rek'Sai comes across the map. So as will have to summon her TP to join, but he TP's out towards the backside. That's a much longer cooldown than Rek'Sai's ult.
I feel that's a very early TP from Soaz here. Maple walking in right now.
That's a big bind.
Mithy is still fairly tanky. Gets a shield from Orianna, walking away. Grey health on. Karsa is a legitimate damage threat. Is going for Black Cleaver next.
It still works in Flashwell's favor if you look at this entire play as a two-phase play. Phase 1 is you burn the teleport.
Yep.
Phase 2 is you actually set up the split push, then go for the Baron. Just skipping that though, they're actually making this to somewhat of a 50-50.
They kill the Baron so fast.
And they've got it already. Even though Snake is back to Mininar, he just jumps over the wall. All is well, no contest.
Yeah.
Baron to Flash Wolves.
Stake Mega Nard amazing away from the pit, so he couldn't make it over the wall. And they know that a 4-item Caitlyn and a Lich Bane Victor at this point of the game can burst it down incredibly quickly. Just a smart play.
Keep Jungle out of there, screw phase 2. Just take the Baron.
Only good things ahead then for Flash Wolves. 10,000 gold up, 2 inhibs down on a Baron. It's almost a formality now.
And yeah, out of all compositions, split push compositions get the most value out of a Baron and lose the hardest against the Baron. It is very binary in that regard because it just works so well both with and against of what they're doing. Right now they can 1-3-1. And Origen will need to start hitting them with an Abyssal Voyage, potentially even at this point in the game, if they're this high in the lanes. That's what probably can't do, because here's Karsa.
Look how aggressive they are. Amazing, just takes far too much damage. The Bruiser pain drain of Stake and Karsa.
And that's about the worst thing that can have happen. You already have 2 waves of super minions, so your only way here is to force a fight on the 3rd inhibitor. Now it's 4v5 and the main initiation is out. Flash Wolf's gonna push strong.
Easy turret kill, and now on to the 3rd and final inhibitor. Flash Wolves backs against the wall. A big shockwave, but NL stays alive, gets away from the rocket. It didn't come out in time from Niels. That wasn't a call that came out. And Flash Wolves stay in the base. NL back to full health already.
Yeah, now Shockwave's down as well, plus a Baron-empowered super minion wave pushing in. This should be the final push.
And it's so frustrating to lose the game this way, because you're not even entering a fight. Your base is just melting around you, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
And here comes the final pushes. Turret still losing health. Shockwave down for another 30 seconds. Waves getting bigger and bigger. They're crashing against the shores of Origen's base. The Nexus now open. Amazing respawns. The fight to win the game. And again, it's no kills. It's just Flash Wolves taking game 3.
Absolutely, when they needed to, they came out with the cleanest game yet. They actually had a small deficit in the early game, but through strong strategic play and just waiting for the Caitlyn and Victor to get strong, they outplayed Origen and came off with a very clean 41-minute victory.
All 3 squishies went deathless that game. Everyone who was ranged stayed out of the fire well enough. Despite a few cute plays by Origen, you had some flank Abyssal Voyages, you had some good shockwave damage, but the 3 big carries and the protector to keep those carries alive just got out of the fire every time.
Origen, you have to just critic them on what they did in the mid game right there. Allowing a team at this level of League of Legends to play 4v5 and not punishing them in any regard is a massive mistake. It's really hard to see the opening, but they even allowed Flash Wolves to maintain double pink ward around that mid lane to let the Victor aggressively move up and just wave clear after wave clear after wave clear, and it looks like they just forgot about NL farming in the bot lane.
Yeah, constant problem for Origen is their ability to make aggressive plays between 15 and 30 minutes, and that was the biggest hole we've seen so far in this series. Ends up in a Flash Wolves win.
And Origen trying to steal the Jinx away as though it was going to be a good strategy for them. Not a great one, not a great performance out of Niels either. 1, 2, and 1, not a lot of damage on him. So Flash Wolves finally take a game. Maybe they can get 2 more and win this series. But for some more insight on that match, going to send it over to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you, gentlemen. They mentioned in the pregame that it's generally the onus of the team that's on the losing end of a series to make changes coming into the 3rd game. However, we saw very few changes by either team coming into this pick and ban.
Well, I was really disappointed with Origen because they had a working formula. The Anivia and with the carries that Niels is very comfortable with were working wonders. It was putting a lot of hesitation in the Flash Wolves side. For some reason, they decided to switch it up and just say, look, we can play other things too. And they lost to it. And the Jinx denial pick, I feel like benefited Flash Wolves even more than it benefited Origen themselves, because the Caitlyn was actually the playstyle that NL has during this series is more beneficial towards a Caitlyn than the Jinx. For example, on the Jinx, he was throwing a lot of ults preemptively, try to soften them up. That doesn't do a lot of damage. On Caitlyn, on the other hand, you start off with the ult in the team fight, you start off with the Peacemaker. It's a lot of damage to really soften them up, and it really speaks to the champions that he plays, such as Avaris, that really just want to get some poke damage in before the fight begins.
Yeah, and the stat on Caitlyn is he's 3-0 before this, but hadn't played it in the summer split. So, you know, another win, 4-0, never lose, once again coming up massive for his team. And I just think that the Caitlyn was great because if the games are going to go to 40 minutes, you said something. You said you either pick early and try and beat them at that, or you just completely resign the fact that no one is going to win. You pick Nasus, Viger, Caitlyn, and you just take it to super late game and you beat them at that.
My difficulty with just, I feel like in the draft, I feel like Flash Wolves has won 3 games in a row. Simply because the trend has been for Origen to always pick these matchups that they're weaker in. With the Darius against the Gnar is something we've seen. And of course, they had the Kalista in the second game. But also the bottom lane matchup in this game is a weaker matchup. And then they are weaker 5v5 as well. What is the win condition? That is like outplaying them in decision-making in the late game. And if they don't reach that point where Flash Wolves hasn't done any mistakes in the early game, it's going to be very, very difficult to win.
And let's just build on that, because the thing that they've been doing well is the bottom lane was always a winning lane, so they were able to 2v2 and put a lot of pressure on. What that meant is that Solaz was never really in a position to get heavily punished. This time they pick a losing bottom lane, it goes into this lane swap situation, and then they're never able to use the double teleport, they're never able to use Niels at what he's strong at. So overall, the fundamental part of this game was that they're not going to take risks in the mid game, we know that, but they didn't pick a winning lane to be able to bully. All of a sudden, Kasa, who is out jungling amazing by a very long way this series, is just able to roam around the map. He had a very early Sightstone, and he just kept everyone super safe. Like, there was nothing they were doing in that.
For me, Amazing used to be the guy that's dictating the tempo of Origen throughout the group stages, and right now he's kind of lost. He's really not
dictating the tempo.
Yeah, he's not really finding his way. You know, he has a lot of opportunities to create a lot of tower dives and just brute force his way. Because with a pick like Gragas, you can really do that. Like, you could have abused the side lanes, go for picks, blow a lot of summoner spells, but that just never happened. And then the fights, it's very difficult to get engages into a Morgana linear. Like, you need to go for angles.
Late game it is. One thing I will say about Gragas, just before we move on, is that he's one of the best turret divers against Morgana, because he technically should be able to pop the level 1 Black Shield. He can actually turret dive, one of the few people that can turret dive Morgana's mid lane and get away with it.
Well, that's what I want to talk about, is not only in the early game, but even through the mid game. Jat was talking about the 15 to 30 minute for Origen, and essentially their inability to do anything on the aggressive side. Part of that is because of what they've drafted themselves into. The question is, can they draft the other style and play the other style?
They don't have to. They could have won. They could have 3-0'd if they picked the same thing that were. If they picked the Nivea and Sivir, I would not have a doubt that they would have 3-0'd this series.
All right.
I feel like
disagree.
Like, even though I agree completely. It would have been easier with these picks. I feel like it would have been just way easier if just wait a bit, don't blind pick the Darius, pick the stronger matchups and play on that.
Yeah. But the other thing is that if someone's freezing bottom lane and you have Gragas Orianna, that's not like a team that can't go aggressive. You throw your Gragas in there with an Orianna ball on him, there is no way you defend that turret anymore. Jinx goes through it in 1 minion win.
Yeah, well, the last thing I want to take a look at is the heartbreaking Baron play that occurred. And if nothing else than to say that there was a moment in this game in which, had this gone the other way, it may have been Origen's ticket back into it.
So it's like, I think this, as you said, Spawn, earlier when we were discussing it, this kind of highlights what this game has been about, just chaos. But in this moment, I was shouting like aloud, so as what are you doing? Just tank the Baron so Nils doesn't get the debuff, you know? The debuff that makes him do less damage, and then just this happens. Just walk in there and hit it a bit, please.
One Q from Darius would have been all that's needed.
Yes.
If he just did anything.
But to be fair, these moments rarely happen.
Yeah,
like,
well,
this is trade for that.
This is
well,
not
and also,
what
you know, the
training.
rocket could have crit. And it would have been a kill. You know, so there's definitely elements of this could have gone either way just by, you know, yeah, exactly, just based on RNG. But, you know, those are the moments, and as you mentioned, that highlight the chaos so far of this series. And we mentioned this is the cleanest win so far on the side of Flash Wolves, but I wouldn't necessarily declare that any of the 3 wins were clean.
But one thing I will say is that the teams that have tried to go a little bit forward, like the Anivia walls, this time the Caitlyn picks storming down lanes, it goes in your favor. You get the perfect wall. You get double crit headshot on the Jinx and burn double summoner spells when you're taking an inhib. Sometimes just playing proactive League of Legends will win you games, and that time, it took a while to get there, but Flash Wolves eventually did get to proactive League.
Well, that is, yeah, that's the point to take away here, that the Flash Wolves did come away with a victory, and right now they're retooling towards Game 4. Shifting gears for just a minute, though, earlier we asked you how you're enjoying Worlds, and for Amp Alex 3, he has taken a break from the school books and says, this is what happens when your English teacher plays League and wants to watch Worlds, God, what I would have given.
Yeah.
I would have, you know, I would. Oh my goodness. In my high school years, in my college years, at any point in my life, for one of my teachers to play the same video game that I did.
I think it's horrible. You need to focus on the education. Come on.
He says.
The coach. The coach says that.
The coach over here. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll see if the Flash Wolves can keep the momentum on their side in Game 4. Don't touch that browser.
Keep up the focus that we had in the past 2 games.
Mid is in for now. Stake on the backside. Soaz pushed pretty far, apprehends in, and here comes Gragas. Soaz still losing health.
Even if Origen decided to counter.
Oh, he's got him. He's
Nice.
Flash gets into the belly. Mithy's trying to run him out, but here comes Megador. Pulls 3 of them back in, and they've already killed off the Catfish. There's a second one as well. Barra naturally plenty of damage. Niels maybe wants to take this for himself. He goes in with Soaz. They got to be careful what they go for. Oh my God! And again, it's no kills. It's just Flash Wolves taking Game 3.